Hi guys, good evening. Welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I will be discussing what I thought of that pretty full-sized helping of The Walking Dead, which premiered just a little while ago. I just got done watching it. Whew, a lot of shit went down, and it certainly set up a lot for the mid-season finale, which will be airing next week. Now, before I continue blabbering and on, of course, please be warned that this video review will be full of massive spoilers regarding this episode of The Walking Dead, and it was a big full episode. So if you're not caught up on the show, do not keep watching or listening. Excuse me, as I will be going into spoilers. Excuse me. That being said, you have been warned. That being said, spoilers from here on out now. Great episode. Great episode. You know what I literally liked about it? I felt like this episode captured the reason why I and so many other people love this show. And I think we all love the show for different reasons or for the same reasons. And regardless of what our reasons, we love the show. And this is one of the reasons why I love it. Complex characters in appalling... Sorry about that. Complex characters in appalling circumstances. I feel like The Walking Dead is the perfect is the perfect way to briefly describe The Walking Dead, like for someone who's never seen it. Complex characters in appalling circumstances. And I believe that with the internal struggle that we saw with Eugene, where he's just caught or stuck between this place of good and evil, good versus evil, I believe that he is such a character where he's caught in this horrible, appalling situation, and he feels completely trapped, not sure what to do. Do I hate Eugene for what he's done? Not exactly. Am I a little annoyed? Yes, a little. But I don't believe he's an evil man. I don't think he has malicious intent, and I think he's weak-willed. I think he's a coward. But I don't think he's necessarily a bad person. He's definitely selfish. Don't get me wrong. He's definitely selfish, but just because he's selfish doesn't mean he's pure evil. I think he's having a battle he's facing a fight on two fronts. One, trying to figure out how to get himself and everybody else, or at least himself, out of the sanctuary before the walls collapse. Too late for that. Two, is he really with Negan, or is he with Rick and his old allies? Only time will tell, I think, and I think he's getting a clearer head, because I loved the metaphor or the example that Gabriel used when they were having their sit-down earlier in the episode. He said something about, if you were to look back at it many years ago, the concept of people dying, coming back to life, and having all of these Walking Dead people all over the place would have been impossible, outrageous. No one would have ever believed it. But if you believe that you are still capable of doing the right thing when that moment hits you, then maybe there's still hope left for Eugene. But I really enjoyed Eugene's storyline throughout this whole thing. It surprised me a few times, because I thought, oh, maybe he's had an epiphany where he is indeed going to help Gabriel get Carson out of the sanctuary and back to the hilltop. Nope, he went back there and told Gabriel straight to his face on his deathbed, I'm not going to do it. And he was very, very firm in his stance. I was like, oh, okay, not what I was expecting. But you know what? I kind of liked it. I kind of liked how it surprised us. What I also enjoyed about this episode is that both Rosita and Michonne, but especially Rosita, it's shown just how much she's changed and how much of an impact Sasha's death had on her, because she was usually the one who was full of steam, and she was itching with vengeance. She wanted to kill Negan and the Savior so bad all of last season, where she was just willing to die to kill Negan. And now she's taken a step back and realized that sometimes it's better to wait for the right moment. And I'm glad she realized that before Daryl and Tara went ahead with their pretty bad idea. Well, I don't know if this is necessarily a bad idea, but it was bad timing on their part. it really interested and pleased me that Rosita turned it down and said, no, I'm not going to be a part of this, or I can't be a part of this. It's like, she's actually changed quite a bit since last we saw her. And I just thought that was a really interesting character moment where this woman who's normally headstrong and determined decides to put it on pause, take a step back, and decide it's better to wait, better safe than sorry. It's better to wait instead of rushing into things right away. And I think Michonne was on the same page as she was, because she left too before they drove the dump truck into the sanctuary, which was a cool scene, by the way. I also enjoyed seeing the Saviors panic and open fire on the walkers, and the walkers chasing the Saviors up into the upper balcony, and seeing the Saviors panic and in the middle of this giant clusterfuck. That was incredibly satisfying to see horrible, nasty people like the Saviors under such distress and under such appalling circumstances put a smile on my face. Like, I know that there are some workers there who are innocent to an extent, but the Saviors, I don't feel too bad for them. I was happy to see them fighting for their lives and trying to fend off the walkers. I thought that was very, very cool, and it was very, very satisfying, because it's like, these people have it coming. They've been absolutely nothing but horrible to our main characters all of last season and this season, and now a lot of them are getting what's coming to them. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that very, very much. And what else I liked about it is that it explained where Morgan went, what became of him, and since he couldn't be there, on the battlefield per se, all right, have him be a sniper. That makes sense. Keep the Saviors trapped at bay within the sanctuary. And I just even though I don't agree with Tara and Daryl's actions, I also kind of understand where they're coming from, because Tara clearly wants revenge for Denise's death. She very well could blame Dwight, and, it is Dwight's fault, but if she doesn't get a chance to kill Dwight, she'll probably be happy killing a whole bunch of Saviors. And, of course, Daryl is in a similar spot, where it was Dwight who was responsible for dehumanizing him, but at the same time, I think Daryl would settle for killing a few Saviors, or all the Saviors, or at least just Negan. And I just hope this doesn't dampen the big elaborate plan our allies have in place too much, although based on the promos for next week's episode for the mid-season finale, it looks like shit is about to go downhill very fast, as it often does on the show. But no, this was this episode was another solid, standout, character-driven story where we saw characters just, like Eugene torn between good and evil, between Rick and Negan, and between his own selfish survival and his concern for others. And then we also see Dwight trying like hell not to kill Eugene, even though he clearly wants to. And I'm like, well, if he's not going to shoot Eugene, he's going to shoot down that little speaker glider thing. And sure enough, he did. Good thing he did. Although it didn't make much difference, because at that exact same moment, Daryl comes in with the dump truck. The whole Eugene storyline of this episode was really fascinating to me and very, very enjoyable, because like I said, I felt like it was the embodiment of what this show is. Complex characters in appalling situations, and I think Eugene is a perfect example of that. And I thought it was interesting how he didn't immediately rat out Dwight, how he could have told Negan right there on the spot Dwight was the traitor, was the inside man, and was responsible for everything that was happening, but he kept it to himself. Now, perhaps that was him panicking at the last minute and deciding not to say anything, or maybe there's something bigger at play up here and in here for Eugene. Who knows? But it looks like the mid-season finale is going to be one hell of a mid-season finale. It's going to be explosive, emotional, probably a little gut-wrenching, hopefully a little satisfying on some level. You know what I am pleased about is that what tonight's episode did, and then what the mid-season finale most likely will do, is that it will not end the war there. Like, the war is going to continue into the second half of Season 8, which is incredibly reassuring, because I was afraid it was only going to be an 8-episode arc for All Out War. But I think Gimple and a couple of the other producers and writers on the show have emphasized that this war is going to drag into at least the next couple episodes of the second half half of season 8, which is very exciting, which means that the mid-season finale will end with a bang. It won't necessarily end the war, because we don't know what exactly happened to the Walker herd, if Negan and the Saviors are still trapped in there, or if they're on their way to Alexandria or something. We don't know what's going to happen, and it's all going to be very, very exciting. At least I hope the war doesn't end with the mid-season finale. Just keep that in mind, guys. It's just my personal theory, not a confirmed fact, that the war won't end with next week's episode. I'm just saying that I hope it doesn't, because I want to see the war go on for at least into a good chunk of the second half of season 8. Well, guys, what did you think of tonight's episode? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did anything surprise you? Did anything piss you off? Did anything put a smile on your face? Please feel free to sound off down below in the comments. I'd love to hear from everybody. As usual, you may disagree with one another, of course. That's totally within we're all entitled to our own opinions. That's just fine. Just please keep it civil and be respectful of one another's beliefs and opinions. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more episode reviews like this one, as we continue to watch along until the mid-season finale of The Walking Dead, which airs next Sunday on AMC. Don't miss it, and don't miss my episode review of it. All right, guys, have a great rest of the night. Hope you had a good weekend, and of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.